Okay, we are live on the air, and welcome to the CCC, the Center for Connection and Collaboration, where we have our fourth and final Whybut session of the season. Whybut is what have you been up to, where we ask local Asheville area artists what they have been up to. So without further ado, we're going to go to our first artist here, Jen Murphy.
Hi.
Yay, Jen! So, Jen,
Yeah.
I just want to introduce you briefly. So, can you summarize in a nutshell? Just a little bit about your background, where you're from, how you got to Asheville, what your medium of work or mediums of work are, and then how you would contextualize yourself as part of the community in the Asheville area, and beyond.
Okay.
So,
That's a lot.
da-da-da!
Let's see. I've been here for almost 18 years.
Mhm.
I came from California, where I went to California Institute of the Arts a long, long time ago. And I lived in LA for 20 years. I got involved in puppetry when I was in LA through political action. Was during the Iraq War. And I was we had this peace vigil that we were doing every week. And it was incredibly boring with the signs on the side of the road. And I'm like, we need something big and colorful and fun. And someone introduced me to this woman who had just moved to LA from Minneapolis, and she was part of a group called In the Heart of the Beast, which is a world-renowned giant puppetry troupe. And they are in the lineage of Bread and Puppet, if you're familiar with them. And we also have the awesome paper hand puppet intervention based in Saxapahaw in Eastern NC. Also in that lineage, they basically seeded a whole bunch of puppetry groups that do parades and large puppetry, and often has some kind of political or social justice themes all over the country, all over the world. I mean, it's kind of amazing the lineage of Bread and Puppet. But I consider I'm part of that too. So this woman, I met her, Beth Peterson, and she started telling me about what In the Heart of the Beast does, and she gave me the basic tools of paper mache and clay and
Had you been doing
fabric
puppetry before that?
Never.
So
Me-
that
to me,
kind of like
puppetry was Sesame Street, right?
So that kind of threw you into
Right.
it. That's
But
awesome.
I was already doing community stuff and activist stuff, and I was a painter, and had lots of different kinds of skills that it happened to just be really great for being a puppeteer, because you need a wide variety of skills: sewing, sculpture,
no kidding.
two-dimensional thing, work with materials. And the other thing I loved about it was that it was just making stuff out of trash, cardboard, fabric that somebody's mom gave them, like just it was very accessible. And as soon as she showed me all this stuff and she started showing me pictures of what In the Heart of the Beast, I got just so lit up, and I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah.
And I had like a really little child at that point, but I still somehow managed to like just start making big puppets and finding people to, I organized a whole bunch of different workshops and parades and things in LA, and kind of was off and running. And then when I came here, I knew it would come back around somehow, but I met some folks, Grayson Morris. Do you know Grayson?
Yes, I know Grayson.
And
She's done stuff here at the CCC before.
And Alina,
And
Alina
Ever in LA as well.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And I've been in some of her things that she's produced here.
Doing a lot now. So anyway, she started a thing called Puppet Club, and several wonderful people started coming to Puppet Club, and we all had this interest in giant puppets. So we decided to bring Donovan Zimmerman from Paper Hand Puppet in Saxapahaw to Asheville to do a workshop. And that was 13 years ago on November 11th. he came for a weekend and showed us how to do basically the same kind of simple, like there's a clay form, you do the paper mache over it, you pop it off when it's dry, you paint it, put it on a stick with a bunch of fabric, boom, it's a puppet, right? But a lot of the folks had never done it. It was a good crowd. I think we had maybe 25 people in this workshop. We did it in this gymnastics studio down on Riverside. And I remember it was freezing cold in there. There was no heat, but everybody was really excited about it. And at the end, we were like, we don't want to stop. What are we going to do? So let's start a group and start doing puppets.
So that was the birth of Street Creatures.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So that was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's cool that Paper Hand was here last weekend performing at the Wortham, and 13 years later.
Right.
And he's going to come again and do another week-long workshop
and so like
in March.
Street Creatures, and you are part of the Asheville Puppetry Alliance, which is a bigger,
well,
or it's kind of the same.
It's kind of a complicated. So there was this group, Asheville Puppetry Alliance, which was started by a lot of puppeteers in the area who do maybe more traditional, you could call it, like smaller puppets, marionettes, and I mean, puppetry is such a wide, amazing, different kinds of forms, but they were more like focused on doing shows, a lot of educational stuff. But some of them retired, moved away, wanted to just let it go. And at that point, Street Creature was about 5 years old, and we were doing lots of stuff on a shoestring out of people's garages and stuff. And they said, hey, we've got this nonprofit, and we want to just give it to somebody who will carry on the vision. And so they gave it to us.
Cool. Okay.
So that's why, even though we're Asheville Puppetry Alliance, and that's our nonprofit, and that's how we get grants, etc. But we're not really Asheville Puppetry Alliance. We're really Street Creature Puppet Collective.
Right.
Yeah.
But then other puppeteers could still join
For
the
sure.
puppetry.
We have very open
Yeah.
doors. Yeah.
So it still has its mission in the same way that was set up.
Yeah, slightly different. Like, we don't put on shows like they did. We don't bring in artists to perform things for the community in that way. We
But
do our own
somebody still could.
They could in theory.
Yeah. Cool.
But we have a pretty hardworking board that doesn't have energy for that.
Right.
Just managing what we're already doing is enough.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. So as far as how that connects to the community, my work has been for 20 something years about working with the community, responding to issues, and specifically environmental and like ecological type stories. But like with the community, making the stuff. Like, I love to sit around with people and make things together that we then bring out in the street and dance around with. That is like what I love.
Yeah, and I've seen you do like some installation work that you invite, so not necessarily even connected with puppetry, but like installation where you invite people to come and participate.
I did that piece right after the storm at Warren Wilson. Is that what you're?
Yeah, that was beautiful.
So I still have like my own work that I do that's not puppetry, though sometimes I do smaller puppet shows, like slam kind of shows. But I am interested in installation. I've been doing in the last year or so lots of nature drawing. I'm really into going out and drawing trees and birds, and I find it so healing and just helps me ground, because I get like kind of spinning out on all the, like we were talking about earlier, the politics of the moment and the stresses of trying to do a lot of things on a shoestring.
And I know also that you go beyond the Asheville area too, like you did a artist residency in New Orleans a while ago.
Oh my God, that was one of the best things I ever did. I love that. So there's this great gallery community place called Aquarium Gallery in New Orleans, in the Bywater area of New Orleans, and they have this big old house. It's like 150 years old, and it's been divided up into studios with a couple apartments in this roof on the top floor, and then they have a little sort of studio with a loft that they have artists come in for a month at a time, all year round. And there's a gallery right in the front, and they have openings every month. And so I got to be one of the artists in
Yeah.
2023.
The
I loved it so
Mudlark
much.
Theatre.
Yeah,
there,
it's
yeah.
the corner from the
So
mother.
yeah, yes, and that's another like puppet
Yeah.
crew, right?
And St. Claude, there's all
So-
kinds of galleries along there, and
Yeah.
it's such a great
yeah.
neighborhood. Anyway,
Um,
I highly recommend applying for
Right.
residencies and getting out of town
Yeah.
for a while, just get a new perspective, have a focus
Yeah,
on
and
your,
then you got new
Yeah.
things to bring back as
for
well.
sure. There was so much I learned there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I would love for you to just go ahead and share now that
Okay.
we've got you in context.
Okay, cool. I have
To
to screen
share
share. I have to
your
remember
work
how to screen
over the
share.
last year in the wake of Hurricane Helene.
How do I screen share? I did it earlier and now I can't remember.
Share the little
Oh, the share.
screen,
Okay,
yeah,
there we go. Okay.
there, and then you hit on the share screen.
Okay.
And then we
then
should
it'll
have
find my-
you. Jen has started screen sharing. Yes, she has. Look at that.
Okay, here it is. And then I want to do the slideshow. Right. And hopefully that little thing on the top will go away in a minute, right?
Oh, I don't know. It might not.
Can everybody else, everybody else can't see that, so that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Okay.
just that it's being recorded.
Yeah, okay.
You can click OK if you want to get rid of it.
Okay. So, yes, what a year. I'm gonna
Happy
start
God.
with the,
It's fabulous.
this was right before, so this was the Pride Parade that happens usually right at the end of September.
Oh,
But for various logistical reasons, they did it the week before in 2024. And so it did not happen on the 28th like
Oh,
it
that's
would have normally
amazing.
happened. And so this is what I call the before times.
Oh my God. So it like actually
Where
was
we
able
were-
to happen.
Yeah, there was no inkling that crazy
Wow.
shit was gonna be going down the next week. But
Yeah.
so we had our full crew, we had a beautiful time, we had all these colored flags, and we actually practiced and learned some what do you call it? Color guard like
Mhm.
moves, and it was beautiful. And I had just made all of these pennants. The week before, I had this like driving need to make these cloth pennants that say things
Mhm.
like "We are resilient," create things you wish existed, take care of each other. And I work with the Asheville Makerspace, and I've been using the laser cutter there, and I cut out all the letters on the laser cutter and sewed them onto these pennants, so we would have them for the Pride. And then, oh my God, they came in very handy after that. So right after the storm, like everybody, we didn't really know what the heck was going on. And a lot of us got involved in like chainsawing trees and collecting food and moving blankets around and all the things,
Right.
But after about 5 or 6 days, we were like, we need to get our puppets and bring them to the
So the puppets
distribution.
were okay.
Well, they were all fine because we're in the mall. We're in the Asheville Mall, which is pretty high up, and it's not near any water.
That's amazing.
I mean, there was no
that
electricity
you actually
there.
have a space in the Asheville Mall.
It's not a retail space though. It's this weird little storage.
It's so
place.
cool though. That
It is. It's a very kind of strange juxtaposition.
yeah, kind of.
But they
incongruous.
started, all the FEMA trucks and a lot of the big distribution things started moving into the mall parking lot. And so I'm like, I got worried that we weren't going to be able to get in. So I like went in and I kind of sweet talked my way past. They had a bunch of security guards and they had put up all these fences. And I'm like, I just have to go in here for, I had my headlamp, and I went in and I just grabbed like a whole bunch of random stuff. All the Pride stuff was still just like piled up on the floor. And I just threw a whole bunch of things in the car. And that's what we had for about 3 weeks. We didn't have anything else because they wouldn't let anybody in the mall after that. For a while.
Wow, so you got in there just in case.
Right.
Wow.
I just had a little like intuition, like making those pennants. I'm like, go to the mall and get some puppets. So I did.
Yeah.
And then we started just bringing them to different distribution centers.
So these were some of the ones that you
like this was a show that 23 Skidoo did down at the Bear and Barbecue, and we brought a bunch of puppets.
Because that's where they would distribute World Central Kitchen would distribute.
And then the second one is a wonderful parade that we did in West Asheville, starting at the library with a bunch of the kids from Lucy Herring School. So that was about a month and a half of that kind of activity.
Beautiful.
This was the candlelight vigil that they did in Pack Square. I don't know if any of you guys went to that, but that was really moving.
I was
moving
out of
night.
town. I was away for a
It was
week.
about 3 weeks after the storm.
Did Jen Ben take that picture?
I don't remember who took that picture. I think, no, it actually was BPR that took that picture, because
Okay.
I got interviewed by, oh, I can't believe I forgot her name, but she was like the voice in the darkness on BPR for that whole, like you couldn't get any news except for like the radio, and like there's a press conference at 11 o'clock. Do you remember that? Like turn it on.
Right.
Anyway,
right,
she
yeah.
interviewed me, and that picture came from their website.
Beautiful picture.
Yeah, that was a beautiful. So they had some singing, they had some speakers. There was the fire marshal guy, and anyway, we wanted to bring the heron, but there was like nobody to ask if it was okay. I talked to Kim Roney, and she's like, I don't know, seems like a good idea. So we brought it, but we hid behind, and we waited until it was dark, and we brought it out right as they were starting. There was a singing thing happening, and it was so beautiful. I just feel like crying every time I think about it. And a lot of people cried, and they were lighting the candles, and it just was, to me, like, we have to remember that it's not just the humans that were impacted, that there were so many animals and trees, and also that the resilience of all those creatures, and just representing the non-human world. That's what I felt like we needed to be there, and people responded to it beautifully. I feel like that was definitely a peak moment of last year. So then we had Halloween, like a couple of weeks after that. And Street Creature normally does a really big installation on Vermont Avenue. And we like decorate this one house and have hundreds, if not thousands, of trick-or-treaters come, and each year has a theme. And we had this like amazing, complicated idea about what we were going to do, which of course we had to just throw out the window when the storm hit. And we just scrounged up a bunch of stuff from other years and put it together. And people were so grateful to have something that was kind of normal at that point.
And that's shadow puppets.
Yeah, we had a projector.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Great.
It was on a telephone pole. Yeah. And then for the solstice that year there was a lantern parade. And it was really, really cold night, and it was so desolate down there.
Yeah, everyone's got their woolly hats on.
It was, things were still really,
right.
really
Oh God.
trashed.
And
And
the smell too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just something about that smell in the air of, from the flooding and the
all
mud.
the diesel and garbage. And yeah. So that felt really powerful, and we're doing this again. I'm actually had a meeting today planning another solstice lantern.
The winter solstice, I've seen advertisements for that. That looks really amazing.
So here's another lantern parade we did.
Beautiful.
The Downtown Merchants Association hired us to do a lantern parade the weekend that Billy Strings was here. As a way to like try to get people downtown again, because people were, the poor, restaurants and shops and stuff were just like, there was no tourists, it was winter. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun bringing, and there was literally 1,000 people lined up on the sidewalk waiting to get into the Billy Strings thing, and we paraded right by them. It was pretty sweet.
Oh, geez.
Then we did Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is possibly my favorite holiday of the year.
Yeah.
And our theme was monsters. Because a monster had just been elected president.
So you had right. So these were still things that you
no
salvaged,
we're back
making.
We got in by early November,
Okay.
late October.
So you were able to make all of these things.
Yeah, and this was all fresh
over the winter.
New stuff. All the monster stuff was brand new. Then let's see. We're still kind of in recovery mode. This was the Asheville Maker Asheville Maker Fair, which happens at AB Tech every year. So one of the things we do all year round is workshops for families, and sometimes for other populations, developmentally disabled adults, and making puppets, masks, different things. And I love doing that, training up the new generation of artists. And then this was an Arbor Day thing at the Arboretum, where the governor, this is the governor and his wife, posing with our tree hugger puppet.
Oh,
He
good.
came to, because there was a lot of focus on replanting all the trees that we had lost. So he came to
Good.
announce like the initiative with a lot, a tree planting thing. And so we had our tree hugger. Yeah, yeah, it was super fun. I love that picture. Then we did a parade I really do love to do parades in a neighborhood.
Mhm.
Like that little one in West Asheville, and
Yeah.
we did a couple during that time right after the storm, but this is one that we do every year at around the Burton Street Peace Garden.
Mhm.
And they have they call it the spring fling, where they sell a whole bunch of plant starts at the end of April, and so we've been doing this now.
And are you making new puppets for each of these?
Not always, no. This one was recycled a lot of
Okay.
like we have a pretty big
That's a-
inventory of
yeah,
puppets.
that's
For the Mardi Gras, we made all new stuff.
yeah.
But then we try to make things that will have uses later,
Sure.
We
Yeah.
made one year our theme at Mardi Gras was mushrooms, and we use those mushrooms all the time for all kinds of other things too.
Mhm.
Yeah, the monsters haven't gotten quite as much use, but they get
They'll
some
come
use.
out again.
Yeah.
Years ago too, they had what do they call it? The street parades, they had the big heads.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? That's Kevin Hogan. Yeah, he's a long
Mardi Gras?
lost here. Not for that one. I don't know, one of the street occasions. I
Yeah.
forget what it was, but
I don't know those
called
big
big
heads.
heads, and they were literally these big
Right.
happy heads.
Yeah, it's fun because when you have a big hat on an adult body, then it makes it look like a child, but like a giant child. Yeah, which is a fun thing to play with. And speaking of playing, Paper Hand came to Asheville in April, and some of our puppeteers were part of it. And like I said, they're kind of like our mentors. He helped us start by coming and doing a workshop. So we always get a lot from having them here. Then we move into the summer festivals. Leaf,
Mhm.
for at Leaf in the spring, we did a play about compost, and that's where the big pea pod came from. There's actually two of them.
Okay. Makes
And all the
sense.
wonders of compost.
So highly educational
Yeah,
and environmental.
yeah. And then here is Towdown, which is up in Green. Oh no, the one on the left is actually Steep Canyon Rangers came to the Pack Square, another Helene related thing. It was kind of like their way to give back to the community.
Mhm.
And there was like 10,000 people. That was the biggest crowd we ever
Wow.
did a lantern for. Like we had to rethink our whole plan when we got there and saw how many people were there, because we ended up having to have a couple of people that were just like sort of the path clearers,
Yeah.
and we wound our way through that whole crowd, and it was
Wow.
just awesome. Yeah, it was really great. Yeah. And then that's the one on the left is Towdown.
Mhm.
We also did workshops there, making
that's
little
a festival?
lanterns. Yeah, this is a music festival, family music festival up in Green Mountain. Then we also do the Firefly Festival, Firefly Gathering. Yeah. Did a daytime and a nighttime parade there. On the left is a workshop that we not only teach workshops, but we like to host workshops. It doesn't happen as often as I'd like, but we also do skill shares amongst ourselves. So if people know how to do something, especially in the winter when it's quieter, we've learned how to mix herbal teas and make crankies.
Oh, okay, so it could be anything.
Anything. It doesn't have to be puppet.
Right,
We usually have an annual fire cider making day. And so the one on the left was this guy Josh Barnwell, who we all met at Firefly, and he taught us how to make these masks out of poplar bark.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was cool. And then we did a puppet slam. Every year we do a friends and fan puppet slam. So a lot of the folks who come to Street Creature don't consider themselves artists, even though I think everybody's an artist. And so they are entrances that they love to make things together, and they like parades, but I'm always trying to encourage people to get into all the other types of puppetry, so we make this friends and fam slam where you don't have to feel intimidated because it's only your friends and family that are going to be there, right? And we have a potluck, and you can bring a piece, even if it's an unfinished piece, and like show off what you do. So
Right.
that's me doing
Nice,
this
nice.
crazy song about pudgy pies. I had a little dance. I sang the whole thing. That was a bit of a stretch. Here's a few more workshops. The one on the left is the Arms Around ASD, which is our neighbor at a mall. Really great neighbor. Lets us use their big back room space for performances and stuff. And on the right, it's Open Hearts.
Oh, I love that group.
Me too.
Yeah.
So here's the year later after Helene, Rising Appalachia, did a couple of shows at the Pisgah Brewing. We did a daytime parade with the giant caterpillar, and then we did a nighttime parade. And we had just finished those two little owls, which have their eyes open and shut and their heads turn and their little wings flap. They're so cool.
So, and that sculpture is
That sculpture's been making the
absolutely
rounds at different
beautiful.
Helene like
Really?
anniversary things.
Yeah.
I think that Be Loved is kind of the caretaker of it, and it was made also by the folks at the Peace Garden, maybe Dwayne Barton.
Yeah.
But with a whole team of people.
Yeah, it's stunning.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
This was the fall leaf, and this is everybody. We had a very large crew right before the lantern parade.
That's huge.
Isn't that a great
Yeah, look at all
Jen
those
Ben took this
giant
picture.
puppets.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
it's
made
fabulous.
75 of these silly hats over the course of the summer with fake flowers, and like just people give us all kinds of stuff all the time. Paint, fabric, flowers, weird little, like a bag of film canisters or strange little like twisty curlers for your hair or whatever. So we took a lot of that stuff, eyeballs, and we turned them into silly hats, and then we gave them all away. We called it Hatter Day, the Hatter Day dance party. The one on the right is Chris Merrick, and she made this wonderful, it's a lantern, but it also works in the daytime, and it has a bubble machine in its mouth. So it's a fish that blows bubbles. It's really cool. This was the premiere of that guy too. And then here's this year's Halloween.
Wow.
Which we had, this is the most extravagant one we've done so far.
Coral reef.
It is, we call it this, it's called 20,000 Screams Under the Sea. And everything was done with black light, which is the first time we'd ever done that before. It was pretty cool.
Black light to be, oh, you must have.
We had the lights outside, like
Okay.
hooked up on different poles and things, and yeah, it was wild. And when we were painting all that stuff in the clubhouse, we all had like little black lights, and we kept like, I'm turning off the lights, I'm turning off the lights, because you can't really see what you're doing until you have,
Right.
So there was a lot of lights on and off while we were kind of winging it. It looks so different in the light than it does with the black light, it's a whole different.
That's really vibrant.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, so behind the scenes things going on in 2025. We turned 13. Our board is really strong. Thank God. We have 7 people on the board, and we work really hard. We came up with new bylaws and a new mission statement, a new logo. We started a new line of merchandise. This was from Paper Hand. They had all these wonderful beaver puppets, beaver costumes, and he bought one of our new t-shirts. One of our members, Julie Van, passed away in 2024, at the beginning of 2024, and she left us her house. And so managing these new resources that we had, we sold the house. It forced us to like grow up in a lot of ways.
So you didn't actually keep the house.
We had kept it for almost a year.
Yeah.
Because that was her wish, that the tenants would be able to stay.
Okay.
And that gave them plenty of time to,
Yeah.
but then we sold it this past June.
Rather than actually moving in and using
It was
it.
we thought about it so many different ways, how we could maybe make use of it for our own space, but it just, a residential house is too small for what we need. The doors are too small, there's no parking.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't, So now we have the resources.
Yeah.
And our hope is to find a space. I mean, we don't have enough to buy anything in Asheville, but we're looking, we're open. Yeah. We don't want to be
And
too
you've got
far out.
you've got your space where you're working now.
Where we are now is not ideal, but we have a storage unit now, which helps
Mhm.
put some of the stuff we don't use as much in the storage unit, and it's very central.
Mhm.
It's a known entity.
So you are actually looking for a space?
We are,
To
yeah.
buy?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
but and since we don't have
Universe.
$1 million, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah, but they do come up here and there. We have a
Mhm.
realtor that helps us, and yeah, who knows what the future
Yeah.
holds. Yeah, so that's what's going on behind the scenes, and then some upcoming events. The Winter Solstice Lantern Parade is on the 20th. We're gonna do a raffle. We're gonna actually raffle off. It's not fully formed yet, but like a birthday party performance, so that you
Cool.
can have Street Preacher at your birthday party or your whatever event.
Oh,
We're gonna raffle that off, and
okay.
the downtown hop is gonna host an event for us where we, pull the tickets for the raffle,
Okay.
and then Mardi Gras is coming up pretty early this year. It's the 15th of February,
Mm.
so we'll be kicking that
Cool.
into gear. We've already got a big conversation going on about what our theme's gonna be and what we're
Mhm.
gonna make for Mardi Gras.
Wow.
And you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all the places. The website has just been updated, streetcreaturepuppetcollective.org.
Excellent. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible. I had no idea that it was like that,
Busy.
busy schedule, like your
Yeah.
calendar is just like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom.
It's
It's
a
like
little too much,
constant.
but it's hard to say. No, I
Yeah.
say yes maybe too often.
And the fact that you all were so instrumental in like helping to like revitalize Asheville after Helene,
Mhm.
it's like you were on it, you were there. It's like, okay, what can we do?
Right,
Right. And just
To
like,
do like what we do, but bring it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what felt like the right thing to do. It wasn't until we did that little parade at the library that I felt like sort of I got my equilibrium back
Yeah.
after the storm. I was
Right.
so
Mm.
just distraught and like out of balance. And then once I did that parade, I'm like, oh yes, of course, this is
Yeah,
what we need
this
to be
is
doing.
what we- yeah.
Here we are. We
That's
got
amazing.
Caterpillar, we got a few pennants. We'll find some places, we'll show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Wow.
So I think that might have been more than half an hour.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yay.
Stop the screen share, right?
Yeah, stop screen share. All right, who wants to go next?
Roger.
Yeah, you're more ready.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
actually.
well.
Readiness is not the factor.
There it is.
Oh.
Okay,
Cool.
All right,
I'll do it.
somebody step into the hot seat over here.
There you go.
All right, Jolie.
Yeah.
Hi,
Wow, well, this is great because you're actually the person that I know least about out of
Oh.
all of
I-
of our Whybut
I
artists.
have no idea, if
So-
also we're gonna
So
be
good
able
to
to
have
get to
you.
know each other
Yeah,
in this
and
next year.
and I just heard so much about you from Roger and talking about like
Roger's been really helpful to
how
us.
how you guys were surviving the storm and keeping things going out in Marshall.
In Marshall, which I understand you live.
Yeah,
for-
I was in Marshall for just over a year, and it was
Nice.
like quite a while ago, but
Yeah.
in the big church space on.
Oh, you were
Main
there,
Street.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I think someone just bought that building. So that's
Mhm.
great, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so all right, so I'm gonna ask you the same thing that I started out with Jen.
Okay.
And that's if you would just kind of, in a nutshell, kind of
I forgot about that.
summarize like a little bit about your background, like where you're from, what you do, how you feel like you fit in with the local community, and
Yeah.
kind of.
Okay, well, I really, when Jen
Set the
said something
scene.
about everybody as an artist, I was questioning whether I was appointed to speak as an artist in this wonderful, group, because really, if you're just going along doing things and then you look back and you say, well, is that art? And it's like,
Definitely.
is that, and what is an artist? And what have I, and then if I do call myself an artist, how am I helping this world move forward. So those are the kinds of questions that I'm maturing into now at this late age, and it's a good journey, because this past year has been awakening so many seeds. I mean, we've taken our masks off to the nth degree. You know, I think you guys might have come up to Nanostead in Marshall at one point. Did you?
Mhm.
Yeah, and was it that one, Rising Appalachia?
Thanksgiving, yeah.
Oh, for the Thanksgiving. Oh, for
Yeah,
the
they
Thanksgiving. Oh,
performed
that
it.
was wonderful. I was
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Oh, gosh. And it was just, we were all dancing in that big room together, and it was magical.
So
Yeah.
how long have you been in Marshall?
So 8
Well,
years
Where were you before?
at Hillsborough, the
Okay.
literary capital of the Southeast.
Okay.
A lot of writers in Hillsborough.
Uh-huh.
Before that, we had a short stint in Raleigh before, but we met in New York, my partner.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. So we started a mom and pop record company called Moon Caravan, and with that we wanted to not only help ourselves give ourselves entitlement to make music, but also to help other people make music. So we would gather them together, make their album, and say, go forth and prosper. And some did and some didn't, but all, you know, had the pith and the sense of worthiness of being backed by somebody else. and
Right,
saying,
yeah.
yeah, you know, you're wonderful. Go for
So
it.
is there any like particular music scene that you're connected with, or do you just feel like it's a broad spectrum?
Well, we got connected in with the depot that washed away in
Mhm.
Marshall when we first got there, and we
Oh, right. So
Yeah.
it's a real old-timey
real
stuff.
old timey,
Yeah.
and a place where we were afraid to go in at first, but then Pat Franklin was outside planting flowers, and I talked to her, and she said, "Come on back and hear the music." And you know, it was kind of a different environment we had not ever encountered before in our
So
lives.
before that, were you
It was wonderful.
plugged into a particular music scene?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and well, you know, in New York, it was my mentor, Arthur Russell, who was a cello player who did dance beats to while he played the cello and sang. And so he apparently a lot of people in Marshall know his work, mostly the 20s and 30s-year-old
Yeah.
kids. And so when I go to a gathering, people would be playing, you know, bluegrass songs, and then they say, let's do an Arthur Russell song. And so and I could sew my jaw shut after that. I was like, oh my God, these people are. So what does this mean that my friend and mentor is meaningful to them?
Yeah,
And in
that's
what
awesome.
way is he meaningful? Because he had such a broad spectrum of music. He called the music that I was engaged with bubblegum country. Bubblegum country, but it wasn't anything like what you might think bubblegum country might sound like. It was kind of uniquely pointed to its own self. He did a lot of experimental music, worked with Philip Glass and David Byrne and
Wow,
Allen Ginsberg,
okay.
and you know, I was on the fringes of all of that, just looking
Yeah.
in. He was my friend, so, and he worked with me vocally. Yeah. So
Yeah, so kind of like the avant-garde overlapping with,
well, just the way,
like,
you know, a good, you know, community member might be, you know,
Yeah.
just kind of taking it all in and saying it's all really interesting and worthy. And especially that place at the depot where everybody felt they had a home. And you know, some people, you know, maybe couldn't afford a cup of coffee, but it was free.
right.
The musicians were all volunteer.
Mhm.
So and they could dance and they could listen, and everybody was friendly, and there were politics on both sides in the same room, which was a really healing space.
Oh, that's pretty much unheard of.
It was managed by, but people just kind of didn't talk about it, or if they did talk about it, they talked in one corner and you could go to the other corner if you felt like it. And so it worked out fine.
So the in Marshall like was hit particularly badly by the hurricane.
Right.
And so the depot was just like
Rubble.
completely. is that community picking up like somewhere else now?
So what my partner
or-
and I did after the flood, we took shovels. We were down there shoveling for about a month, and then I started cooking and trying to fit my way into like, trying to figure out what you can do to help somebody else is tricky
Yeah.
because you might get in the way.
right.
And also the position's already taken and it's kind of organizing itself and stuff. So it's like, okay, I really need to help for my own self as well as for, because I need to, because they
Mhm.
need me and I know, but what do they need from me? So I ended up cooking on the off times that the main cooks weren't there and people were still volunteering and hungry. So,
Mhm.
so I would just slip in there and cook. And then when that went away, Lee and I helped people get to this dance barn from the
Mhm.
depot. So they had a place to go. We kind of helped Malin, whose place it is, and his brother Dwight Arrington set this wonderful facility up for people to go and dance and have fun. And
Oh,
there's a woman who's 93 who comes
Amazing.
every Saturday and tap dances, and
Mhm.
it's just. And then there's a Down syndrome boy who gets to dance with all the ladies, and nobody thinks twice, and it's just beautiful.
Oh,
It's also
God.
very filmic.
That's
I mean, you could just
community,
come
yeah.
in there and very puppet-like, wonderful stuff. So that is that one scene, and then there's the bluegrass jam and the country jam we had to find homes for. So we helped Pat Franklin of the Depot set up a church in Walnut, in the Walnut
So
community.
you guys were really instrumental in like helping people to find where they could still function.
Well,
in the
because we had
area.
really been, we really had settled into helping the Depot crowd.
Yeah.
Before, for about a year and a half, we just ended up working every week at the concession stand, as volunteers. So we would cook the whatever they wanted and give sell the drinks and things like that. So we were just there, and so we were still there after the flood. And
Cool. All right. Well, you have like some pictures and stuff.
I do have
to
some
show.
pictures.
So yeah, just
Oh.
fire away. We had a few technical difficulties with with getting Jolie to screen share, so we're just gonna hold up her phone to
Yeah.
the camera.
So let me see if you can see. Oh,
Other-
it's the other side, right?
Yeah.
So how am I supposed to do this if I'm
So
trying?
yeah, do you want me to hold it up or what do you want to do?
I can do this, I think.
Okay.
So this is the building that we had, which was our rehearsal space, which is also in the river now, which was right down from the depot. We didn't have insurance because insurance, I'll tell you what, insurance was so flood insurance. We figured, if this once in a lifetime, if something happens, we can just pay to get it repaired because $50,000 a year is not gonna be able to happen for us. So anyway, so that's how and then lo and behold, right after we finished renovating it, boom. So
So
here
when
we
you
go.
say you're talking about the depot.
I'm talking about me and my husband, the Moon
Okay.
Caravan mom and pop. So this is.
Yeah, your
we found
space.
in the
Where
rubble.
was your space?
It was on South Main. The whole south side of
Okay.
town is
Yeah.
gone. It's still gone.
That's what remains.
That's it.
So that was your space.
That was the space. And is that Lee in there, my partner? I can't see. Is that a person? In here, my son Leo and his wife Gabby came and helped us look through the rubble and somebody, here are the little acts of kindness. See that flowers? Somebody just randomly brings flowers and say, we love you, we miss you. And it means a lot. This is some of the potluck in community centers that we were, and this is the person, we were mainly mucking his place out at first, our friend Carl Koga, very kind person. This is, I don't know what, so I'm gonna pass it. Oh yeah, this is Nanosted here. Can you see all of the,
Yeah.
the organization that they had for everything? They had a wellness tent giving away, so many people. This is one of the spaces we were looking at for the new depot place. It didn't work out, but there was a lot that went into it. That's again, our rehearsal space that went into the river. I just went to his crossing fire at the Center for Consciousness and Living and Dying in Swannanoa. He just died. So there's a big passage also and that was our friend Andy Carpe in that picture. And this is, a gathering of women talking about how the flood actually came. This was really important to gather and see where the rain, because we were flummoxed. We could not figure out how this 27-foot wall of water had come down, raging so fast to take away buildings that we thought would never, ever be moved anyway. So that it was like finding meaning and people gathering and talking. And this and more rubble shots. I'm sure y'all are real interested in this. Here is, of course, the National Guard, and everybody was there, and more rubble shots and more found objects in the rubble. Some of all of our records, and it's the Army Corps coming to help. And there's there's my son and his wife and my partner.
A single record you found afterwards, didn't?
There's my partner. And what is that space there? Let's see. That's the Zuma, which is now up and running.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zoom at the coffee house.
This is the dance barn. You asked about the record. Well, I kept finding Stevie Wonder records, and I still haven't figured out. But I know it's like I know I had a couple, but man, we had 3,000 records. So why the Stevie Wonders? Everything is purposeful. And Songs in the Key of Life was one of them. Which was like telling me, hey, don't. And this is Carl. He's dancing, which is the right thing to do. Sorry about that. And whoops. You get we started frequenting the Burger Parlor. Do y'all know where that is out on 2570? It is this, place you'd never think to go, but it was open and safe and warm and breakfast and a place to gather. This is one of the bluegrass jams that we ended up getting a church to host in, but we had to clean that church out and get it all fixed with heating, and built a privy and an indoor composting toilet and things like that for it. But it worked. I mean, everybody,
Indoor composting toilet. that's
right. And so
awesome.
it was old and new world, and people getting used to
Yeah.
this new way of being.
Right.
What do you
I
call it?
know, no
Like using
water.
the privy. I mean, come on, y'all.
Yeah.
This is but they did. Let's see. Gotta get that's a video, but you don't really need to see it necessarily. Okay, there you go. Isn't tech interesting? So all things analog, it's just like I am really being challenged by this. Okay, so now here's the Zoom. Let me go back to my screen. So, do you know how to get off of this?
I have no idea.
Okay. All right.
We can see you on the
You can see me?
Claire screen.
You can see me on Claire's
Yeah,
screen?
if you just put your phone down, look at this over here.
Hi. Okay. Well, let me talk a little teeny bit, and I am not a talker, so I wrote some things out so I
Yeah.
remember. Flood is a kind of mask remover. I love masks, and I love what you're doing with your puppets. Really, really great, and a political, beautiful. So we were no longer individuals, more like we were a whole system, cleaning up muck and rubble together. We began to dance, to move as one unit. And it was like we were the original spirit body. This was what I was so interested in, seeing how people came together and then reformed after some time, because the personality left in order for the collective to emerge
Yeah.
and get stuff done quickly.
Yes.
And I was fascinated
Yeah.
with that. So there was a desire for bonding. A younger person said a lot of people were having sex at that time. Well, I'm a married person for like 33 years, and it's like, oh, were they? It's like, okay, But I thought, okay, great, because I could understand that response.
Yeah.
It's just like a woof.
Yeah, we need life.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So finding new meaning in new ways, right? Let's see.
There was a lot of babies born last summer for that reason.
Oh my gosh. And then it seemed like our own, personalities reemerged into the collective. It changed as we undoubtedly had been by all that had happened. And so we began adding dimension to the most basic of masks, the analogy that we'd been stripped of at the original, and building again from there. We were given a chance to think about building the kind of community we'd only ever dreamed of. We were given that chance if we took it, right? And we still are given that chance because we're still rebuilding. And we're still rebuilding what, you know, we're still meaning makers. And so we're starting from layer to layer. And then, did this actually work before? We don't need it now. Just let's do without it. Don't add it again.
I know, rather
you
than
know?
just kind of like automatically going back
Right,
to the old way. It's like, what have we learned? What do we want to keep?
right.
Yeah, and what do we want to lose?
So, you know, there'd been a shakeup, a reshuffling, seemed to highlight different kind of found art, found voice, found movement. And we huddled together in the rain, came out in freezing weather, and then again when the summer sun reappeared. Allowances were made for a new kind of inclusivity of working together to anyone who showed up. Grievances were dropped and new allegiances were made. I mean, really, we began to notice how the soundtracks of our lives had been reshaped by the flood, just like the reshaping of the very earth beneath our feet. My partner Lee and I had watched from the foot of our driveway as our neighbor's house floated down. It was ripped from the moorings and floated down, not slowly down the river. And that changed us, and we were harboring them for 6 weeks and then at our house, and we were all together. So if we had personality things going on, it was all secondary and tertiary, and it was no longer, it could not have any weight. So
The ego, let it go.
and then I said that one can have a sound argument that the physical topography of our surroundings affect the way sound travels. Of course it does, right? And the way we hear. So like sound waves traveling in eddies and currents all their own and are not impervious to the change in the land and the trees and the building structures around them. The echo of a yodel in an alleyway disappears when the building's gone, as ours did in downtown. So yeah, so we lost a lot of archival tape material when the building that was Moon Caravan washed away into the river. And tape is really important. So not exclusively, but primarily we'd chosen to record to analog tape instead of digital. And we're still doing that as we redo things. We had backed everything up digitally, but that is also in the river. So, I mean, lesson learned, you know,
Don't store your backups in the same place.
but who knew? A 27-foot wall of water.
The cloud, this is what the cloud is for. The cloud, at the end of the world, everything will still be on the cloud. But it's something about the resonance captured in the initial recordings onto tape, it's magnetic, and we're magnetic, it's electric and magnetic, and can feel somehow the unseen resonance of that. So even if it's on the cloud, if it started out analog, I think that really makes a difference. It does to me anyway. So so anything that was the way they did it, like pre-1995, I'd say, you know, when they started using everything became, you know, CDs and no more records. And so as we begin to rebuild our own sense of purpose and direction as individuals mirrored in the larger community, we magnetize the parts of self that are useful to that end and hope that with renewed self-knowledge, we're able to leave behind parts of ourselves that are no longer helpful, hoping that in the act of seeing the played out parts of the self as artists, they lose their magnetism and naturally fall away. So I've been looking at technology as a choice, like all things analog, technology as a choice, because, you know, at the same time, looking at the fascinating avenues that tech can lead us into, tech is also a prison that we are walking into where we have no choice. So as the world at large around us
it seems like we're being corralled into systems of technocratic
Right, and you
control.
start designing
Mm.
things especially for the
Mm.
tech,
Yeah,
rather
Have
than
you
the tech
noticed?
supporting your artistry.
and you no longer have access to the old tech, and the old tech gave you more freedom than the new tech.
Mhm.
So, and then,
Yeah, it's
you know, we
controlling.
don't have any agency to opt out of the new tech. We're not, but we do. We actually do. There are ways. If we have no choice, though, we've lost our free will, and if we have no free will, how are we to express ourselves? So, if a technocracy is what we're headed for, activism, it would be an act of activism to maintain freedom of choice. It might look like just turning back the hands of time. However, we can still do that using cash instead of credit, using old tech like tape recorders instead of digital recorders, using puppets instead of watching TV. All things slow and still unconnected to AI and the surveillance system of technocratic control to maintain a sense of an analog life. So that's something I think about every day, the
Mhm.
technocratic control grid. So it's like, how can I like, you know, share my pictures on Zoom?
Right.
And I think, no, I don't think that's not that important, but it's okay. Anyway, it's a choice, and there are still workarounds for most seemingly choiceless conundrums. Which brings us to the subject of this series.
Mhm.
Thank you, by the way, for having me here, Claire and
I'm
Roger.
glad you're here.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good place. After Helene, we just lost our meeting spaces and spaces for practice and collaboration. So there are no coffee shops, no bars, cafes in which to gather. So we appointed different people's houses and gathered in simplicity, because a lot of times there was not a lot going on. As far as being able to have all the warmth. I mean, you know, after a while it was, but at first there wasn't. So,
Yeah, there wasn't much of anything.
gone were the instruments, equipment, and recordings, the records, photos, library, chronicles, and memorabilia. Gone were the backed up hard drives of all the material for us, anyway, the equipment to play them on. So we started giving away instruments and equipment. We started being the hub for a channel of giving that away. And then we realized other people were doing that too. It's just a natural thing to want to do. And we hooked up then, luckily, with this wonderful group called Restring Appalachia,
yeah.
who gave us back our whole backline of sound equipment that we needed for rehearsal. And so that was like the question in the air was, should we keep going in the same direction, or is this a sign that it's time to stop? No, it's not time to stop yet. Keep on. Okay. So then we started channeling anything we got to them, and it's just a beautiful system. It was wonderful. Yeah. So yeah, but because and somebody had started a GoFundMe for us, and we thought, okay, this is confusing, and then we didn't go forward with it. Really, we have it; it's there, but and the people who gave us money, my friends, my family, and stuff like that, it was like being hugged. It was like being hugged, but we realized people lost their homes, and people lost their lives and their families and things, and doggies and everything. And we just, you know, this is like crazy. This is just, yes, it's our 40 years of past that we've worked on, but you know, it's nothing. And then all of a sudden, free baggage gone. What are you going to do now? It's like, oh, wow, a gift. That's the silver lining. So, so yeah, we're still in that space of what doing next. So anyway, in Marshall, there are all these very talented musicians.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Young,
Incredible.
beautiful,
Yeah.
talented musicians,
Yeah,
innovative
yeah.
and kind, and they've been working with me and Lee to resurrect some of the published and unreleased stuff that Arthur Russell did, my mentor in New York. So that's what we're working on now, because if we do die, which we will,
Eventually.
then, you know, we don't want to die having not you know, given that, because in some cases, we're the only ones holding it. And so these wonderful musicians are helping us to get those out in
do
circulation,
you-
less
Do
rusty.
you have a studio space that you're working in again now?
Well, we do because of the back line from Nicholas and John and
Uh-huh.
Tim Nylander helped us with this with our drum set. We have a little creekside building that we rehearse in now. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you.
So you're able to resume all the work that you were doing still in that space?
Well,
Or like as much of it as you know,
little by little.
can?
And as you know, we're taking one foot in front of the other
Yeah.
at this time. So yeah. No, we took a huge fiscal loss. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
We're just trying to figure things out now, but
Mm.
yeah, that's what we had more than than anyone ever had a right to have at that
Mhm.
time. So it's kind of like, what do you do when you lose it and you're still able to like pay the rent or whatever?
Mhm.
Then you realize you had more than you needed. It's gone now,
Mhm.
and now I'm free. It's like, oh God, okay,
Mhm.
freedom. So it's all good. And we got this other space with whatever we had in the bank, and we started fixing it up to we could have an instrument consignment shop right there in Marshall. Marshall
Mhm.
needed that kind of a hub to anchor the young musicians.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's
Give
going,
purpose to
that's kind of really going forward and
it is. I mean,
happening and
it is.
people are using that.
well, we've been in a lull, so we haven't been doing anything, but it will open in the spring.
Okay, cool.
That the
Good,
place
good.
on Main Street.
That's the place on
Yeah.
Main Street.
Yeah.
We're just taking our time with it. We want to do
Cool.
right by the community and also by ourselves. So
Yeah.
we're finding direction, and Roger has channeled some donations.
Yeah, and I was gonna say like, I mean, Roger's next, so your Roger's story kind of tags along
Oh, does it? Okay.
onto yours
Are we
because
ready?
it
Yeah.
includes like his role in what he's been
Oh,
doing.
How wonderful.
So
How
post
wonderful.
Helene.
And I
So,
think it's time
yeah,
for
yeah.
that, isn't it? I've been
Yeah, so that
rattling on.
that's
Something that you
awesome.
said really resonated with me, which was the thing about getting the GoFundMe, but you felt sort of like you couldn't like how could I shouldn't take this money because other people need it more than I
Mhm.
do, have lost a lot more than I have, even if you did lose a lot, which it sounds like you did.
Mm.
And I so my friends that are in New Orleans that I told you about where I did the residency, when they had gone through hurricane, I had sent them some money.
Uh-huh.
And when we went through our hurricane,
They sent
they
it
sent
to
me some
you.
money.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was just like, we're just circulating it around, you
Yeah.
know, like it's just a river of resources. And, you know, you're gonna use it for good, obviously, to just like, but
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
understand that
No.
there is this sort of hierarchy of
There is.
bad
Yeah.
things that happened, and like it's
Yeah.
it's easy to get caught up in that.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm
But it
gonna
sounds
turn
like
a
you're
heater
using
up.
it,
Enough.
you're using your resources really well
Thanks.
for the
And
community.
yeah. Oh, thanks. And
It's a river.
it is a river. And I'm still in touch with all those people. All Arthur Russell had such a group of friends in New York. I just wanted to say that
Mm.
some of them have come down here and observed the community down here. And it's like,
Oh,
they're agog. I mean, they are
Mhm.
agog. Uh-huh.
when you're there in person,
Oh my gosh.
even this long after.
Right. But they're agog at the substance of the humanity,
Mhm.
the collective humanity that
Mhm.
they're coming across. It's unusual, I believe.
Yeah, that's an amazing community. That town.
We mirror each other, Asheville and Marshall, in a strange way, I think. But I don't know Asheville.
It's
that-
interesting because it's like we've had a few people that have lived in Marshall as part of this series. Martha Skinner was in the first one, and then Mark Hostler was
Both
last week.
wonderful, both wonderful.
And yeah, and it's like it's interesting
Yeah.
how these really, really absolutely phenomenal, unique people are ending up in Marshall.
Uh-huh. I know, I'm fascinated with that whole phenomenon.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but it's it's been my pleasure to talk a little bit, so
Cool.
I'll get to
Thank
know
you.
you more and more.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks, yeah.
And I do want to go there sometime soon and just kind of see, touch base with Marshall again and see what's happening there. Because I
Okay.
haven't been since really just after the storm happened.
Oh, come and be my
So,
guest, will you?
yeah, I'd like to.
Okay, okay.
All right, Roger. So last time Roger's PowerPoint wasn't loaded on his computer, and now it is, but he can't actually get onto the meeting to screen share it. So we're going to hold the PowerPoint up to the camera.
Works for me.
We're all
We can make it work around it.
we're all just such, tech whizzes around here. So are you trying to play music? I don't know if we'll hear the music, if it will
You think?
record. No, because we had, remember last week we had problems with Emily's music actually
All right,
being
I'll
picked up.
not do that then.
Yeah, we can hear it in the room, but you can't, it doesn't read on it doesn't record or read on
Yeah, so,
Zoom unless you're sharing it through the computer file.
yeah, so
Yeah.
life is narrowing me down.
Yeah, so this is part 2 of you. So we already had the introduction last time,
Yeah.
so we did all that.
Yeah,
So let's go ahead and do the thing that you didn't get to do,
yeah.
which is show the PowerPoint.
I'll,
So refer to session 2 for Roger's intro.
Yeah. For, well, later on, if on any recording that might be viewed later, anybody that saw what I showed the first time will think I'm a different person right now. Because I would say, when people ask me, what do you do?
Mhm,
I kind of almost start laughing
mhm.
and I say, I'm complicated. Because sometimes I don't even know what I'm gonna do next myself.
Mhm.
So, but did you wanna start me out with a?
Well, that's what I was just saying. We
Okay.
already did that part.
Oh, okay.
And when we had you on session 2,
Yeah,
we already did the intro part.
okay.
So you just have to refer to that. And now we get to the bit that you didn't get to
Okay,
show, which
okay.
is the PowerPoint.
So.
So
all
go
right.
grab your computer and show us what
So
you
basically,
didn't get to show us
yeah.
last time.
So, oh boy. So because it doesn't work, I'm gonna have to turn this thing around and hopefully, oh boy. Let's see if I can, that's as much as I can do. Oh, that's terrible.
What? No, that's fine. That's good.
You're good there?
Yeah.
All right, so,
If you closed it a little bit and then slid the keyboard above the keyboard.
oh.
Yeah, as long as you don't touch down on any of the keys, we might mess it. I'd feel better about doing it the other way. Yeah.
All right, so
We
we'll.
might lose the
We'll
meeting
just go with
altogether.
this. Those of you who are still with us, just stick your nose on the screen, I guess. So part of what I'm going to do here is I've done quite a few different books, in particular poetry, but I've done, like last time I shared, I did a book on it was the first one I illustrated, which was funky illustrations on an iPad, which I almost never do, but that was the first time, and it was called Children's Poems for Adults. So that was a funny one.
You managed to
but-
show a lot of that by holding it up to the screen last time too, because you had the books with you.
Yeah, yeah. So I
you
apologize.
that.
So this one, this book is called This Life, and it is really the first few I'll show are handmade books. They're custom, limited edition, and it was quite an experience for me because I wanted to do this, and I worked together with a bookmaker called Karen Hardy, who used to be down in the River Arts District, I think in the Ramp Building, but she's up north of here now, still in North Carolina. But anyway, so
Use the arrow key
yeah, where are we?
right.
Oh, we're right. Okay, so yeah, does that do? Yeah, there we go. So it was really interesting because I designed and made every decision involved in this process. But Karen was the one that facilitated putting it together and did an immaculate job on it. This is magnetic closure. When I finished with the book, I was so happy with it that I wanted to make this case for it to go in. So this is the case opening, and there's the book inside, and then I just show it kind of opened up, folded open in the thing. Here's a picture of the book itself, and it's the binding. I wanted the book to be friendly, to be held in one hand, without having to worry about the pages flipping over. Like you normally with a new book, you would have to break the binding. So this is called, and Karen helped me when I told her what I wanted. She said, we ended out with this stitching, which is called Coptic stitching. And it really, really worked out really nice. Same, and I stuck with Coptic stitching on all these books. So this one is beads on a thread, on a string, and the way these are all sayings and poems and whatnot in all these books, and that's gold leaf lettering implanted into the cover, magnetic cover again. They're showing the Coptic stitch binding as well. Fairly small, you could fold this out in the palm of your hand. And uh-oh, I'm upside down. Oh, so somehow this picture is being flipped upside down. But oh, all right. Boy, that's weird. So the blue fire, and the reason why I'm showing just the covers of these books is because it was just the covers alone. When I designed the covers and decided on all these books, I did the covers. The covers themselves was kind of interesting in the story of how they came about. This one, I was actually so-called drawing with my fingers on a felt type blanket. You know how if you rub it in one direction and then with your finger rub it the other way, it makes a mark. And I was fooling around on the blanket and I came up with this and I said, kind of like that. And took a picture of it and just put the picture in with all my other pictures. And a lot of times when I go to make a book, I'll say, what am I going to do for the cover? And then I start going through my photos and my ideas, and then boom, something matches up with what was meant to be, I guess. So this is a book of poetry, and that's the back. I just flipped the image for the back side of that book. And same thing here. I was in Spain, somewhere in Spain, and I looked out the window, and down below, I saw all these tiles with this incredible pattern of mosses growing between, and that ended up wanting to be on this cover. What's the name? It's I can't forget the names of my own book. Between the Cracks, yeah. So 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 I find it very exciting. The creative process is just unpredictable. It's really exciting, and when pieces just start to fall apart and they surprise you, it's just a really neat thing. Here's another one. This one yeah, Lodestar's, Lode. I have to read it right off the thing. Lodestars and Trail Crumbs. Um, and this is a photo. I was in Barcelona and saw the works of Gaudi. And this was actually in one of Gaudi's buildings, not the main church, but this is one of his houses in town. And this was the ceiling in one of the rooms. And I took that picture and unbeknownst that it ended up being part of this book cover. Um, and same thing here, another kind of thing that happened. It was a snowstorm up in New Jersey, which is where I'm originally from. I've been here in Asheville for 10 years. And it was a fresh snow, nothing like a fresh snow. And you could read the tracks and see what the animals are doing and where they're going and all of that. And out in the snow, I saw this red fox prints, and I really liked it. And took a photo of that. And then this one was points of entry in light and dark, or light and what does it say?
And shadow.
Yeah. This one was fun. Yeah, this is a children's poems for adults book, and I'll have to go down the River Arts District to find out what the name of the building is. But as you're going in the entryway, I noticed the weirdest little details, like an ant crawling and where is he going, what is he doing, and all kinds of things like that in nature. But so I looked down and I saw this just going through the doorway, I saw this little smiley moon, this happy moon face in the concrete, and I liked it. So I took a picture of it and ended up being on this cover. So now this one is kind of an intro to where we're going to go from now, but this is called what is it called? Is it working? You know, like it's crazy makings, and I spent a lot of I lived a lot of different lives, and I did a lot of mechanical drawings and mechanical design kind of drawings and stuff. And I like doing it, although there's CAD and CAM and all this computerized stuff now, but I like doing the real hands-on pencil on paper kind of thing. So I took several of my drawings and modified, erased a few lines here and there, and worked it into the design of that cover. So that's kind of where that came from. Sculptures. This one is called Out There. And kind of, I think, speaks to where we are a lot of times in a place of vulnerability. And I kind of like to I've done a lot of different kinds of sculpture, but I tend to like to boil an idea down to its most simplest form of expression. And so that's kind of what this is, one of the pieces involved with that. And it comes out of the wall by about 14 inches maybe. And
sit on it?
oh no. No, this is a wall hung piece, and it's fairly small, like it's about 14. That piece comes out of the wall about 14 inches, something like that. And that's just kind of straight on. And this one is on a limb. This is a big piece. It's about 120 pounds by about 8 feet long, something like that. 4.5, 5 feet high. I like working with natural materials and stones. This one's called To the Other Side. So I just put together those simple forms to, make a statement, I guess.
I like the humor in some of them.
Yeah, yeah. This one is kind of interesting. That's a model of a real femur. that you can buy, a medical model or whatever. And this one's called Jacob's Thigh, and it's based on the biblical story of Jacob wrestling the angel, and they wrestled till dawn. And I guess the angel said, "Okay, I get it. You're tenacious, but it's time to end this thing." And it says in the story, it says that the angel touched his inner thigh or touched his thigh, and that Jacob limped had a limp for the rest of his life. So it was kind of a story of humility, I suppose. But that I actually did research, and that would be the actual spot where what is it? Your femoral artery and your main nerve going down the inside of your leg. And I figure if an angel hit a spot that would leave a mark, that would be it. And this little plastic drop that's hanging in the air is almost just invisible. It's hung by a very thin piece of fishing line, and just shows that point in the stone. This one, I just like the simplicity of it, and the thought of how ancient the use of fire is for mankind, and so I, kind of did that piece. Um, don't ask me about this. This is just, lead stone, rock hard maple, and ceramic. Um, and then I had a funny story about this one. Um, I went out in the middle of the woods and with some tools and materials, and I dug a hole uh, that was the size of my body, and I basically fit my body into the hole, almost like I was burying myself, face down into the hole, and I did it in such a way that it made an imprint that I then made a mold of with plaster and that. And when the plaster hardened, and I have steel reinforcements on it and everything, when the plaster hardened and I pulled the whole piece out, it pulled out the roots and everything.
Oh, wow. It sounds a little bit like Anna Mendieta Silhouette series that she did out
Oh,
in nature.
yeah.
Do you know about her?
No,
Okay,
no.
look her up.
Well, yeah.
Correct.
So, what was funny about that is I was in the middle of doing that. My whole body was covered with dirt. My face was all dirty.
It's great.
And
Love it.
in the middle of
It's
nowhere, you'd
performative.
never expect it, I started to hear voices. And it was two people walking through the woods. And they look over at me. And here I am with this body size hole dug out of the ground, and me all dirty and everything. And they're looking at me, and I'm looking at them. And I smiled and I said, "Don't ask." And they were surveyors. And then I explained to them what I was doing. And there's just, and I displayed it in a couple of different ways. This was part of a fairly large show where I had about 36 monotypes that had to do with the fact that we were always changing from second to second, minute to minute, hour to hour, week to week, year to year. We're always changing. And that's what the monotypes were about. But so in this case, I put them up on a so and in this one I displayed it on the floor as if it was suspended off the floor. So it had this eerie feeling that it was in suspension. Um, and here's another one of I call it my earthwork series. Um, and in this case, I dug a hole and I imagined a negative space. I was digging a negative shape of a rib cage in the hole, and then made a mold of that and pulled that mold and arranged it like this. And that's about 4 feet high and easily the size of it's actually bigger than the size of a human rib cage. And I had it outdoors for a while, and paper wasp decided to make a paper wasp nest in it. And I thought, wow, Yeah, that was really something. And this is pretty large. It's about 5, 6 feet high. I call it vertical path. And from the bottom up, I chose large stones in a stream and made casts of the shapes of the surface of the stones going upstream. And when I came back the next day, I found it still on the backs of some of those are raccoon prints. Because overnight, because I left it overnight and pulled it the next day, and it's finished with beeswax. But yeah, so the raccoon prints is still on the back. This was just really a one-off. I was doing bronzes for a while, but it's just too much of a process, too expensive, and but this was part of this. This is an angle view of part of this, and I called it my suffering series. And that center one is actually almost twice as big in reality, in real life, than the one on the left and right. But that was, I don't know, I guess something I had to get out of my system. And then I just experiment with all kinds of things here. But um, I was downtown and they were opening up a new gallery or and living spaces up on top. And I was just walking through to see what was going on. And I noticed a broom over in the corner and I noticed a hole in the floor. And so I just mounted this broom. Whoops. I just mounted that broom in the hole in the floor and left. So I figured, oh, I can't resist myself,
Guerrilla works of art.
Yeah, yeah, it was like a hit and run thing. Get this to so yeah, I never did stick around long enough to find out, but
Oh,
I like
could
the
have put
way,
a camera to
yeah,
see like what
What
happened to
people
it.
do.
yeah. And it was so perfect because it was aligned with all the openings right down the middle, So anyhow. All right, so then I never really did much woodwork, but I've done a lot of different hand stuff. So this was whenever I decide to do something, I decide to do when you have to know what size to cut material in order to put it together. So I do these technical drawings life size, and I wanted to my grandkids know me as Arrow. That's my name. And they asked me, what are you going to call our kids? And I said, well, let me think about it. And for 2 weeks, I was like, Grandpa, Poppy. It's like, and then I started thinking about, like, I started researching names for like grandfather in other languages. Then I'm thinking, well, I'm not from there. And then in the back of my head, Arrow. This word came out, and then it got over a couple of days, it got louder and louder. And finally, I just said, Arrow it is. So I designed this box at a kind of like with a Japanese simplicity or Japanese kind of flavor to it. And it's the Arrow box, and I gave it to my two grandkids once I was done with it. And it's about 3 feet long, and that's silicon bronze metal work on top. And then inside I made a arrow out of silicon bronze, and I made it so it looks like it's suspended in the air in the box. It actually looks like it's suspended in the air. And I didn't want it to be hinged, so I made hidden legs on the top so that you lift the top off and you put it down on its own legs, almost like it becomes its own other little sculptural thing or something. And there's some different views of it there. And then this the kind of a close up here of the feathers part. And the notch end there and the other end, it's the first time I ever did on fancy cars, they do powder coat. It's called powder coat. And it's actually several layers of colors that you have to bake on at certain temperatures and all this kind of. So the first time I ever did it. And the other side, instead of doing like a hunting tip sharp, I did this violet arrow out of that paint. So, and that I dedicated to them and all of that. So that's pretty cool. They put it on their mantle over their fireplace. So, and here's another. I did a box. A friend of mine had his grandfather came to this country from overseas, and he made jewelry and things like that in New York City, and he hand carved a chess set, but died before he finished the last piece, and the last piece was the Queen. And my lifelong friend, who's still alive, a full-time sculptor doing huge bronzes and all this in New Jersey, told me that story. He finished the last piece, and I said, you know what? I want a set. So there's only two of those sets that exist, the original and the copy I have. And so I designed this box. I wanted it to be like a 14th century treasure chest kind of a thing. And this is just showing how I'm working out the lid mechanism. I wanted the lid to be almost a whole box because most chess sets come laying down. The pieces are laying down. This set was like a Assyrian army, really tough kind of pieces. And I wanted them to be standing up. So I designed the lid so that when you open it up, you see the whole army just standing up. And these are just different views of the box. I drew it out, just showing some of the pieces that I next to the drawings. And I do all life-size drawings so I can really prove out. And this shows how I designed the latches. Everything's by hand, no welding. Nothing, and all made by me. And then so on the left and down the bottom there, you could see where I showed the two views of how I wanted this to be life size, and then it shows the actual pieces I made to those prints. And then there's the finished box. And this is made out of purple heart, which is very hard wood, beautiful. And that top, the curved part, is 17 layers of purple heart veneer that I had to form over. I had to make a form for it and form it over with a vacuum bag and all this kind of stuff. It's quite a process. All the metal work I did, gun bluing on all the metal, did the hinges and everything. Same thing here. And it's got a little secret with the little chromed rings. You can't get them off unless you really observe to open the box. I made two tiny little flats on it so that you could slip it past and be able to open it. And those detail shots, you know, of showing the gun bluing on the metal and everything, making the latches and kind of just making it look like. And there's the set with the box opened, and you take the pieces that they're weighted. I weighted them, and each piece is about 6 inches high, something like that. And then of course, then it's like, well, I need to make a table for them. And I wanted to make a table so that from a distance, you couldn't see the squares. And when you came up on it, the squares would appear. And the way I achieved that was
Set these impossible tasks
well,
for yourself.
yeah, like really, you know, but it was pretty exciting, like
The
how
voice in my head told me I
yeah,
had to
I
do
got
it like this.
This is what it's gotta be. So it's some of the squares are maple and the others is metallic silver. But like showing at an angle here, you can't see any squares. And it turns out how I did that was I used 1/4 inch um, frosted glass, like you have in a shower or something. And and it gave me that result. And I made it out of metal to match the metal on the other thing and everything. Here's one of my later.
Squares?
Oh yeah, I know. I should have. I should have. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Oh, trust me, they're there. Then I always wanted a banjo, so I got a banjo, and then it's like, of course, I had to make my own banjo case. Like, really, I could have bought one and it would have been so easy. But so I designed and built this one, and did all the interior work on it. And I even carved out, I even have like where all that metal work is like whatever you call it, on the outside of the banjo, that's all notched out so it fits straight down in like a glove. And you'll never see anything. Usually, guitar cases have hinges on both sides. This is suspended in the air, and the hinging is only on that area there, which I reinforced with metal so that it would handle the weight of the rest of it hanging out in space. But
So it's not that fragile as it looks.
no,
Okay.
no. And it fits like a glove. It scared me when I put it together because I was like, oh my God, like I made it such close tolerance that when you close it, you can almost hear the air go out. The top actually overlaps the bottom by a little bit just to seal it. And so that's a one and only. When I went up to Warren Wilson one summer, a couple of summers ago with that banjo case, it was a big hit. It's like, where did you get it? Can you make me one? I don't think so. It's like it's a one-off. And then a friend of mine had a really old dulcimer, and it was in bad shape. So I reconditioned the whole dulcimer, and I said, well, it's got to have a case. So I made this case for him. And that's how it looks when it's closed. And, so what is this? A few paintings. So I had a whole series, which is hard to do down here because it's too warm. But this was part of what I call my ice drawing series. And I got a sheet of ice off of a puddle, and a lot of times they have bubbles in it and all that. And I drew into it. I put the sheet on top of BFK Reeves paper, full sheet, and tried to anticipate how it would be when it melted, and also like responded to what the ice looked like and where the bubbles were and things like that. And this was one of those ice drawings.
Wow.
And then this one here, boy, it's really, really hard to see. Oh, God, that helps. This one's like 5 foot by 4 foot or something, and I call it breaching. Kind of like the idea of what a whale does, breaching, but in this case, it had to do with energy and color. And this is the first painting I did down here in Asheville. I'm not really a painter, but I do paint. Just whatever. I call this guy Thumbs Up. And he's 4 by 8. He's pretty big. You come in our house, he's the first guy to greet you. And then some of the stuff I'm starting to work on now is these like animal beings. I call this just the bird guy. He's going to be that background especially and whatnot is going to be a lot different than what you see here. But it's just a start. And I guess that's it. But I feel kind of selfish with that, although, and I wanted to preface the fact that really a lot of my time in the last year has been helping people with the flood.
Yeah.
That's how you
Yeah.
connect with Jolie.
Yeah, I
Is that
became,
you guys met when you were
yeah,
doing that, right?
yeah. I became kind of a central drop-off point for at least a half a dozen states, as far as way as California.
Mhm.
You know, California, Illinois, West Virginia, Virginia, you know, all over the place. And after, at a certain point, I was like, my garage was getting really, and my garage is like my dirty work spot. So
It's all like musical instruments, art supplies that
supplies,
people were donating.
and crafts
For the
related.
storm, yeah.
And some of them, some of the initial stuff that was coming down the first couple of months were a friend of mine up in Virginia, she could be my daughter, but she's a professional bass player, stand-up bass, four-string voice, five-string bass, six-string bass, music teacher, the whole bit. But she's a powerhouse, and she coordinated together with me, and we actually had to rent the largest van they made and take the seats out of it, and still couldn't fit the stuff in. So we donated a lot of stuff to the guitar bar. The day after the flood, I went down to help them because I know them, and there was nothing to do. Just throw everything out and start shoveling the muck. Unfortunately, they're not able to go back in that location now. Um, and yeah, and then Marshall, I was starting to bring some stuff up to Marshall.
Did you
Um,
meet? Was that when you were Wayne Kirby?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I've known Wayne for quite a while, and so I started to, yeah, I contacted him and brought some stuff to him first,
Mhm.
and then he mentioned you and what you guys are doing, and that's still in the back of my mind. We want to follow through with you guys more with what you're doing there. Yeah. So, but there's been quite a few quite a few back and forths with that, people sending me stuff and building it up. And at the beginning it was tough because I was getting all this stuff, but I couldn't find a place as a central area to distribute or for people to come and get it.
Mhm.
And when I did, like we'd have one drop-off spot. Well, we can have this for a week, and then the day before I'd go to bring all the stuff there, they'd say, no, we can't use that anymore. And so, you know, so it was really, yeah,
Situation, so
Mm.
many.
yeah, everything was in flux so much, you know. But I got a lot out of being part of that, and that's really
Now, did you,
good part of what
did
I'm
you
doing now.
take stuff to Jolie in Marshall too?
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
actually came, we had lunch, we all,
Yeah.
Wayne and
Ah, okay, okay.
your partner Lee and me, and heard a little bit about what was going on with them, and
Yeah,
they donated their your bass player friend in Virginia, that these sound manipulating devices
Mhm.
for well, really
Yeah.
for bass and guitar.
yeah.
And,
That bass guy, he designed over 20 years. He designed and built that, and I can't remember his name, but he's a pretty renowned bass player from Chicago, actually.
right.
But
So he
Yeah.
built that and donated it.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's for sale now, but you
Uh-huh.
know, it's a very kind of a high-end, specialized type of thing for bass players. But part of what I do, besides, you know, delivering the stuff or whatever, is when I'm doing that, I get to know people more and then get to know what their needs are. And as much as that's how we got
Mhm.
started, is this whole business of collaboration, connection and collaboration. We've been working, we've had the same vision. And when I heard your vision, I'm like, yeah, that's my vision. So I've been involved here at CCC for 5 years or
Yeah.
for quite a bit. And
Yeah, down to the nuts and bolts of
Mhm.
like construction work and all kinds
Everything.
of stuff.
Yeah, whatever it takes. Yeah, to the point where I've I'm called that guy.
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
CCC, that guy.
Need
Talk to that
something
guy.
See that guy, you know. But I really like doing that, and I've been doing that outside of every time I get a chance. I just dropped off a book of my poetry to some teenage girls at the Starbucks, right, who love poetry. And I'm like, yeah, poetry, you know. So anytime I can give a boost to positive stuff like that. And I've been mentoring students over at UNCA for a number of years now too. I have a freshman right now who's a bio major and a diver. She's on the girls swim team. And but it really I think even more than my creative endeavors. I mean, I can't get away from, I still make stuff. I've been changing my car, doing weird things to my car and stuff like that. But it's, to me, the thing is with people. And
Mhm.
really, when
Connection.
you make that connection and you have a positive energy, that's what then I get excited about trying to help spur that on.
Mhm.
You know, so in a way, a lot of that work is like invisible work. I can't show you slides of that.
Right.
It's like this mysterious, you know.
I do have a question, Roger. When you don't know how to do something and you have an idea, how do you teach yourself how you want to go about it? I mean, do the forces of the universe just kind of show you step by step? How do you figure out, I'm gonna dig a hole and
Oh.
myself into that hole and.
No, that's a really good question. I mean,
So
I
don't know,
laugh at it
just in
myself.
case here
Yeah.
on the Zoom, the question was about how Roger teaches himself to do these things that he has a vision for, but he doesn't yet know how to do.
Well, yeah, sometimes some things just require you to plan it out, right? Like making those boxes or something. Although I do imagine what's the feel to this? How should it look and feel for that chess set or things like that? But like that, like the earthworks and that, I literally had a number of times where I brought just a bunch of different tools and stuff and would take a walk in the woods. And I would just say to myself, I would actually, I have no idea what's going to happen and where it's going to happen, but I'm going to just take my stuff and go in the woods. And then I would trust that when I hit the place that speaks to me, I would stop and listen. And then and then something would happen. You know, I've like one of the stones in one of my sculptures, I didn't show it tonight, but um, I walked past this stone in the woods for 3 years, and I loved that stone. It was a big stone, and I wanted it, but I felt like, yeah, but I just don't know if I should take it out of where it is. And it took 3 years for me to feel like I had permission to take it, you know. So it's hard to explain that vertical path piece that went up like this. I did the same thing. I went down to a stream, and it's just like, because I like sitting by streams and just listening to water and, you know, stuff like that. Let it just, you know, and I ended up doing that piece. The full body thing, I had no idea going into the woods that I would be doing that.
So that was plaster that you
Yeah,
put down in there after the imprint of your body lined down, and then when you got the plaster up, it got roots and things?
yeah, pulled everything with it. I also reinforced the backside of that
Uh-huh.
with because it's like sculpting in the negative in the ground.
Uh-huh.
And then I made a plaster thing of that, but I reinforced it in key places with like rebar to hold it together to be able to pull it out. And what I did too, to get the facial thing a little bit better, is I actually used clay in that area and just mushed my face down in the clay to get a little bit better of an imprint
Sure.
in that area. But
Can I ask a little bit about the Birdman creature? that you
yeah,
mentioned?
yeah.
Well, how did he come forth? Or she?
I
The bird, so that's the bird creature.
A lot of that is who I am, I think. I've loved nature and birds my whole life. I was like an avid bird watcher and, and all of that. And I got to know them and insects and everything really well, to where certain insects I could see a half a field away and I'd say, oh, that is the wood nymph butterfly. Because I call it signature of motion. And it's really fascinating. It's kind of like music. It's kind of like a lot of things, but every living thing has a signature of motion. So like if my best friend was walking 2 blocks away in New York City, away from me, wearing clothes I never saw them wear, I would know it was them. How do you know it was them? Oh, well, it's only, sometimes hard to describe. It's that way they walk. Well, what do you mean the way they walk? Well, there's such an intuitive level of existence we take for granted. Like you can reach into a closet with your eyes closed and feel the shirt you're gonna choose and probably know which one it is. How do you know? Well, it's the way it feels. What do you mean it's the way it feels? Well, I could tell this is silk and this is, cotton, or, things like that. And I'm very sensitive to those kind of things. Um, I sense that in people, I sense it in nature, and yeah, it's weird. Sometimes it's hard for, like, even dogs that aren't usually
Yeah, and
very
there
good
is
with people,
aesthetic.
they skip by me and everything gets calm.
There is an aesthetic to that kind of
Yeah.
sensory awareness.
Yeah. A
Definitely.
whole nother form of intelligence, really.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so that's a lot of my poetry comes from that too. This sensitivity to this other way of perceiving what really is. Because a lot of times we take things too much for granted. We take things too much by its surface appearance to us, and by labels. You get past the label, well, or even like identify, oh, that's a blue jay. How do you know? Well, this and that. Yeah, but have you really looked at a blue jay? Have you listened to the way they talk to each other? How they, like, I love crows because they talk to each other.
Each one is different.
Yeah.
That's right.
Individual. Yeah.
People are. we're not
That's
the
right.
same.
Yeah, because there's certain basic calls.
Yard, right?
Yeah,
That happens on your tree.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoy that. I got to a point where I don't do it as, you have to be in it a lot, but like with birds, I used to be able to walk in the woods and be able to tell all the birds that were around me without even seeing them, because I know their calls and stuff like that. And you'd be able to tell how far away they are and how close, or whether something else is disturbing them. That's not me. And it's, oh, what is it? Maybe there's a hawk around too, or but that intuitive thing, I mean, we have it. Like, I was in the tree business for a number of years. And when I think of an oak tree, or say a white oak, I feel that my fingers are ready, because I was so at one with those different species of trees. Like a sycamore tree, right away I feel sand. There's a sandiness to the bark. And I think that's so cool to get to know things on a more intimate level, I guess. My last 14 years, I was a public school art teacher, but I taught everything. I'd give them a homework assignment. What homework? Yeah, I want you to watch a bug of any choice, anytime during the summer, and watch a bug for as long as you can follow it. And ask yourself these questions.
That's a homework.
Where's it going? What is it doing? How does it know how to do that? you know, like all those kind of things. Spiders smell with the bottoms of their feet.
Mhm.
You know, we're not the only ones that have these things up here. Yeah. Just, I love it. I love it. Nature, everything. I mean, we look, oh, this will be, you get me started. They, astronomers look through a porthole about the size of a dime, right? And with the equipment we have now, they can look back as far as 36 billion light years away.
Mhm.
And you know what they saw? Hundreds of thousands of more galaxies, right? And I was like, whoa, that puts me in my place, right? And it also, like, how are we here? You know,
I
on this
know, right?
blue planet and everything. And then, so then the other thing is, well, we're seeing it 36 billion light years after it really was there, right?
Mhm.
Because it took that long for the light to get here, but what does it look like? Right? And they said that because of the expansion of the universe, it's really twice that far away when we're seeing it,
Yeah.
even though we're seeing only the 36 billion light years of view, right? So I don't know. I love that stuff.
So I think that that's actually a good, that on that universal astronomic note,
Yeah.
that's a really good way to conclude the series, don't you think?
We went out, we're going out with a bang.
Yeah.
The big bang or.
So the sky's the limit, folks. That's the takeaway. So, all right, well, we're gonna close the meeting for now. But we
Good
will
to see you, Lee.
we will be back with more Wybuts at some point in time. Um,
This
I
was
hope to get
great.
up.
Really, really enjoyed it. Thank you all. Really something.
I
Good to
hope to
see you
get
too,
up
Roger.
to see you at that place up there, get to talk a little more.
Yeah, yeah. I realize you have more advice to give than I had known before, so I'm looking
Well.
forward and to see you.